everybody. I'm Laura Harris-Smith, and welcome to today's Daily Pin Code. I have been concerned lately that the pin codes have been too long. Now, you need to know something about me. If you don't know me, or if you haven't been watching that long, I can talk. I can write, I can talk, I can go on and on and on. I'm always on the phone too long. I always go over when I preach. I start talking and I just well up with encouragements and information and scriptures, and it just goes on. And the worst part is, people tell me that they're really touched by it. People tell me it's relevant, so I have no need to stop. But in an effort to please the public, some of you have said, no, I like the longer ones because then it's more than just a nugget. I feel like I can really get a solid encouragement every day. Some of you have told me they are actually your morning devotions now, that you sit out on your porch with your laptop and you watch them or whatever. But I do want to be mindful of those who are sitting at their desks, they're at work, whatever, they may not have very much time. So, today's word of encouragement to you is the following. Are you ready? It's from John 11:35. Jesus wept. I'm Laura Harris-Smith. This has been today's Daily Pin Code, and I can't do that to you, okay? All right, I can't do that to you. I have a little bit something more, and I want to read it to you. I'm going to actually just post it right here, for me to see, because I want to read you something that I wrote during a time when I was weeping. It's just a poem, and, I wrote it like just in a really dark valley of my life. We all go through them, so I think maybe you're going to be able to relate to this. It was concerning my health, and at the time it was very, very bad. I was having pregnancies that doctors said I shouldn't have. It was a chronic, illness that I was diagnosed with in 1978, and this thing had followed me around forever. And I used to not believe that God could take it. I used to not understand that He really wanted to. I didn't understand Scripture, and we'll get into that later. We will be talking about healing, in the days and weeks to come, because it's just a part of who God is. His name is Jehovah Rapha. So healing isn't just something He does, it's who He is. That means I am the God who heals you. So I wrote this during that time, and you're going to hear in it me bearing my soul. A lot of well-intending people were trying to help me. You're going to hear that in here. And so there's a little bit of frustration mixed in it, but hey, God can handle our anger. He can handle our frustration. And so this is called The Weight. I've got a problem, maybe you have the same. Mine searches me out and it knows me by name. Its goal is to use me and leave me ashamed, to kill, steal, and destroy. It met no resistance once upon a time. For years I allowed it, for years I was blind. And then I awoke and saw what was mine, although I have still yet to hold it. I've asked, believing, I've fasted, I've prayed, I've heard God's instruction and learned to obey. I've seen others get what I want in one day and learned to love without envy. I've spoke to the mountain, I've named and I've claimed. I've bound and I've loosed and had things stay the same. I've warred with a name that's above every name, while it seemed to profit me nothing. Through visions and dreams my instruction's been sealed, hearing more than can ever be shared or revealed, staying quiet so God's secret plans are concealed, and released then at just the right moment. I've trusted, rested, hoped for, and doubted. I've ached with self-pity, I've grieved and I've pouted. I've seen power come when I've whispered or shouted, for I've learned it's not your volume, but your authority. I've seen my protection in prayer as I kneeled. I've seen with my eyes His great buckler and shield, discovering wholeness as you wait to be healed. And I have dwelled in the shelter of the Most High. Sorry. I've drank from a fountain in gulps and in sips. I've seen the sun shine in a total eclipse. I've tasted sweet praise pouring over bruised lips, and I've felt him inhabit that praise. Hungry for more, I've tasted some power. I've drank from a cup that is sweet and still sour. I've starved my flesh, hoping to feast at some hour, only to feast once again on the fruit of patience. I've swam upstream in water that's muddy. I've knocked and I've knocked till my knuckles are bloody. I've heard people say without words that I'm nutty, and can honestly say I've died to all reputation. I've suffered through wisdom that's not from above. I've heard it come straight out of mouths that I love. I've talked with Job's friends who were jury and judge, and learned that I'll never act that way to anybody again in my whole life. People tell me where to go, but they don't know where I am. Try these herbs, take this pill, eat more fat and less ham. But looking deep into their eyes, I saw the love of the Lamb and realized they meant no harm, but simply wanted to help. Blessed is he who does not see yet believes. Perhaps it's an office we all should achieve. The price, though, is more than we ever perceive when we start praying those dangerous prayers for patience. Does faith say that this is the day when it's not? Can God stretch a scene if he's building a plot? Do you judge those who wait or want what they've got, knowing that it's through faith and patience that we receive God's promises? We can't live without it. We can barely live through it. It's a fruit of God's Spirit, and there's no shortcuts to it. If you find one, it only reveals that you blew it, because King James said it best when he called it long-suffering. Are you willing to wait? Are you able to learn? Is getting an answer your only concern? Can anything hide your impatience that burns from a God who is an all-consuming fire and knows your heart? Those who wait on the Lord, they will find great strength, strength that cannot be owned by the proud but the meek. It's the joy of the Lord without which you're weak, strength by which you can run against a troop and defeat your enemies. Your waiting is precious. Your trials are gold. Your tears liquid praise when the battle gets old. Though the waters rise and the rivers overflow, you're winning, you're winning, you're winning. Though others may laugh and call you a fool, though you're despised, rejected, judged, ridiculed, never forget this one tiny rule. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. A man will reap what he sows. Galatians 6:7. I want to encourage you to please keep sowing prayer. Keep sowing prayers for your breakthrough in your life, for God's will to be done, for you to be a pliable blessing to others while you're waiting for blessing yourself and for your answered prayer. When I wrote that, not only was I waiting on healing for my body, which God has brought me so much of it. He told me it would be by process. It has been by process. I am so much better than I was in 1993, and I'm almost all the way there. And I'll tell you about that struggle later. But God has kept his word stride for stride with my leaning on him, my trust in him, my faith in him, and his grace to do all that, because it was all him. But alongside of those health struggles, we were in tremendous money struggles. That's why I mentioned in the other devotional about where's your double portion with the twins. One was health and one was wealth. I wrote this poem and I didn't even have money for the paper to print it on. I got a paper sack and cut it 8.5 by 11 to run it through my printer so that I could frame it and put it on the wall and remind myself that there was nothing to be ashamed of while waiting on the Lord. Nothing. Everybody waits for something. So I want you to be encouraged today. Jesus wept. He wept, and he catches every one of your tears. They are liquid praise, and they are gold. They are gold to him. So be encouraged today, all right? And be exhorted to keep going. Don't give up. Don't give up. Well, I see that in my effort to make this one shorter, it was longer. I'm sorry, guys. I am doing the best that I can. Sometimes I don't have time for brevity. Okay, I'm Laura Harris Smith. This has been today's Daily Pin Code. And I want you to remember 1 Corinthians 14:31 and 39. For you can all prophesy in turn, so that all may be instructed and encouraged. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, be eager to prophesy.